Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to another amazing anime whatever, you know what I mean. Spoiler warning, for those of you who do not know what's going on or are not caught up, please go read the light novels or check last video, or don't. Like I said, I'll do a brief summary, and so yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm summarizing. This is going to be part one, basically about half of the light novel. Stay tuned. Alright, so in the last novel, brief recap, Issei basically dies. He fights some dude, and he dies, and his evil pieces get sent back to Rias, and he's dead. That's basically like summing up a 200-page novel.
He's dead.
Issei's death hits everybody very hard. The whole first part of the novel is written from Kiba's perspective, as opposed to Issei's perspective, since, you know, he's not really here.
He's dead.
All the monsters that were released in the last thing are basically wreaking havoc across the underworld, and a lot of people are being sent to the front lines to try and stop the monsters, or at least slow them down. Issei's death has hit literally everybody hard. There's lots of just moping and stuff, and it's just very, very tragic time for the Occult Research Club. A lot of people have been coming to visit Rias, Akano, and like all these people. One of the most notable people to show up is Cyber-Org. He literally just barges in, and he's like, "What the fuck? Like, what is going on? What are you doing? You're being a little bitch about this. Like, I know you just lost your man, but like, come the fuck on." Basically, that's literally what he's telling her. And they have a brief conversation, which really, like I said, literally just that. And he pauses and he goes, "Has he made love to you yet? Have you boinked him yet?" And she's like, "Well, no, I haven't." And he just laughs at her. He goes, "There's no way in hell that guy is dead whenever he hasn't made love to you yet." He's like, it's impossible. There's no way, right? So, anyway, that kind of ends, and then it cuts to a section where Kiba is talking to, Volley's team. He's talking to I forget, the Sun Wukong, little monkey dude. He's there, and they are talking about Volley and all this other stuff, and he's asking him about what they can do with the evil pieces and trying to just basically get more information on what happened to Issei. Anyway, to continue on, long story short, they decided to go see a Jukka. I'm sure I mispronounced that. Beelzebub, whatever that guy. I'll put up a picture. They're going to go see him. He is going to attempt to take a look at the evil pieces, basically. That's where they're at. They want to go in there and just have him look at the pieces, right? While they show up, Siegfried, one of the guys who helped kill Issei, along with the rest of them, their little group, they show up as well at the same time while Jukka's supposed to be talking with Rias. There is a brief conversation between Siegfried and Jukka. They are trying to get him to make an alliance. They want to overthrow Sir Zex, basically, and they want him to help. Jukka basically he just declines. He just straight up, he's like, "Nah, man, I don't want to do that." So they turn on him and they try to kill him. They release a bunch of demonic energy to try and kill this devil king, basically. But it's no use. He uses his power, his Longinus, or however you want to pronounce it, which lets him control mathematical equations. It's kind of like better explained in the novel, but basically he can control certain anomalies based on equations, and he uses that power to take control of all the blasts that they tried to kill him with, and they just shoot him back, and it kills basically everybody except Siegfried.
Ah, fuck you.
Siegfried and Kiba start to fight. Jukka suggests it. He's like, "Yeah, this guy's been like looking at you with killing intent this whole time. I'm just gonna let y'all duke it out." So they start fighting, and mid-fight, Siegfried injects himself with some of this weird, I want to say medicine. It's like some weird potion. He like shoots himself in the neck with it, and it turns him into some like super crazy demon, and he's just drugged up, and like it helps enhance his like abilities. I guess that's where we're at. Meanwhile, he explains that this drug that he's using is being created by his group to enhance sacred gears. After this, he goes on to explain basically that the sword he's using, I forget the name of it, I think I wrote it down later, it has the ability to kill him because of the drug. This whole section right here was actually really fucking confusing to try and read because it's just like on and on and on, and it's just super convoluted, and I guess the translation that I got really sucked. I don't know. I couldn't understand it. If you guys want to go back and actually read it, go ahead. Like I said, be my guest. Anyway, to continue, Kiba basically gets his fucking ass kicked. He loses an arm, but he is just he's fucking metal about it. He just freezes the wound closed with his sword and like continues to fight. Like, it's crazy. A lot of this really is beating a dead horse as you're going on. It's really driving home the fact that everybody misses Issei. Like, literally every other fucking paragraph is about how much they miss him. And, like, I understand that, but, like, this is, once again, like in the previous novel, they were trying to drive home the fact that that Issei loves Rias. This one, they are basically, like, every chance they get telling you that everybody misses Issei, and that's like, cool, you got it, let's move on. So mid-fight, one of Issei's evil pieces ends up turning into the sword Ascalon. I don't really know a whole lot about the sword, didn't do a lot of research on it, don't really care. While they're fighting, he hears Issei's voice, and the two, like, join forces. Basically, he gets his, like, spirit in him, and they fight Siegfried. Siegfried's sword, as I previously stated earlier, that it has the ability to kill him, it decides that it doesn't want to be wielded by him anymore, and it wants to be wielded by Kiba for some reason. So it shoots out of his hand and flies toward Kiba, and Kiba picks it up. So the rest of Issei's pieces, as this is going on, they start talking to Rias, Akano, and basically everybody else is there, just trying to give them hope and help them fight, because Kiba's, like as previously stated, Kiba's getting his ass kicked. Alright, so long story short, basically, Kiba just opens up a can of whoop-ass on Siegfried. He stuns him back to 1993 and just kills him. He just disintegrates and falls into dust. So after this fight, Jukka looks over Issei's pawn pieces. He finds out that 4 of them have actually changed into mutation pieces. He states that this is interesting because they weren't originally mutation pieces. They were just like regular pieces, and they mutated into whatever it was, like all of Issei's abilities. And it's also stated that the only mutation pieces that Rias has ever used on anybody were for Gasper, because of how strong Gasper was at the time. Alright, so going on, as he continues to look at the pieces, he basically explains that he believes that Issei is still alive somewhere in the dimensional gap. He finds out that Drag is still with him, and his boosted gear is also still out there somewhere. Basically, his soul is alive, but his body has been destroyed. It is stated that they can recreate his body using the Grigori Research Institute. It requires enough DNA to clone him, which they believe they can find at his house or wherever. However, this creates 2 problems. First, his soul may not be able to adjust to the body correctly, and then secondly, his body may not accept his sacred gear. They believe that they can help him adjust to his new body, but there's really not a whole lot that they can do about his sacred gear. And with this, that closes off the first portion of that of this light novel. Alright, so to continue on as we close, I'm closing off this video. The second part that I got to, basically, this is confirmed literally immediately right next chapter. It starts off with Issei just waking up in the dimensional gap. Drake explains that his body was destroyed and his soul has been placed into his balance breaker like armor, basically the armor itself. Immediately, Issei, like always, is pissed because he can't have sex with Rias now, and he can't grab boobs anymore. So, to continue, it is explained that the only reason Issei is still alive, partially, is because Great Red, the dragon, just happened to be passing by, and he saved Ophis. This dragon saved Ophis and Issei, and now Issei is basically relying on Great Red's power to stay alive, so he can't just leave and go back to the human world. Long story short, this is like a couple pages long. Great Red and Ophis are combining their powers to give Issei a new body. So with that, like I said, I'm going to close this off. This is part 1. I will have more to give you guys very soon. Thank you guys for being with me this long. I'm sorry this took so long, and I'll see y'all in part 2 very soon.